Okay, welcome back, guys. So there are a few things I would like to correct in here for the arm. Like, let me get some reference up here. I like to get a more smoother, rounder arm to her instead. So I don't want something that is supposed to smooth this out a bit more. So let's go to a lower subdivision level. Take down the smooth brush. Find a good angle for this. Now just smooth this out. Something pretty much like this should be fine. Okay. Wish there was a better reference to kind of get this right. So let me just increase the subdivision level one level higher. So I'm going to use the them standard brush. Take out lazy mouse for that. Take down the intensity for this. And that's kind of that's just way too intense. Take the intensity up a bit higher. Just create something a bit rounded around here. And that's way it's down way too much. Then I'll just take down the smooth intensity and then smooth that down a bit more. Like so. Yeah, it still looks a bit obvious, so let's take smooth that down a bit more. Okay. Think we need to smooth this out even a bit more. So with the clay build-up brush now, let me just take down the intensity and just build something gent light around here and smooth that out. Dig in here a bit more. No, that's way too much. Let me use the standard brush instead with an alpha in there. This is the alpha 41 instead. Hold out and just dig in like so. Just trying to get some more depth around there. And I'll smooth that out. Smooth that out even more. Smooth that out gently like so. Okay. I think for the most part this is looking quite nice. I think I need to fill this up a bit more. This is not so obvious. Then smooth down. Let's go to that reference we're using, so we can you can see what's actually in there and then add more details to it. We've actually blocked out most of the shape that needs to be there though. Okay, see some variation on the lower part of the arm. It's the deep dimple around here. Let me use the blink material. Let's see if we have that. Yeah, we do have that dimple around there. Do not as deep as ours though, but still okay. I think I would need to extend this out a bit more, the muscle here a bit more. Now just smooth it out. Smooth that out some more. Okay. Something around here doesn't really add up. So let's see what we can do in there. Something around here does not add up. So let's fix that. Let's look for reference to fix that. Yeah, it comes out a bit more. I can say it comes out comes out a bit more. So let's fix that. So I'm going to do an auto maxing again with UV groups. It's catching most of these parts. Let's just go to the lower subdivision level for this. What kind of max lasso? Without a separate poly group. Okay, so now we have this in here now. So there's an issue around this, supposed to wrap around here. Let's look for an anatomical reference for that. So I wish this was not really giving me precisely what I want though, but it needs to wrap around. Let me use a male anatomical reference for that to help us better understand that. Okay, I think there's something around here that should work. Yes, you can definitely use this. This and the arm is raised up way too high. I think something like this. You have a full on front view. Yeah, this one full on front view. But at least we know that facing on like this is supposed to have a bit of the shape coming out a bit more. It's not very obvious in here, but if we should look at an echo chair for this, there's actually a muscle wrapping around that region. Yeah, there's a bit of height around this region. I see this shape around here, which we don't really have in here. It's pushed all the way to the back, so we need to kind of fix that. Let's look for a better reference. I'll give us a better idea of what we're supposed to do in there. You can see how this shape wraps all the way. Let me look for something a bit. Wraps up the way around here. This shape in here, we need another one. Yes, this is better. I can see how the shape wraps around here properly. So let's fix that. So fix that in there now. Let me start by smoothing this down some more. So get a more rounder shape to it. Then I would use the clay builder brush. Around this part will be affected. So I'm just going to let me zoom out a bit more. Let's see what we have. Check this from this view. Let's just get that to right. So let's go one subdivision level higher. Let's see what we have. Gently smooth that in. Yes, something like this should work. Yeah, something like this should work. So that should feel a lot better from the side view. Alright, so finish a big symmetry on the but at least we're just getting the shapes in place properly first. Okay. Yeah, this will work just fine. Let's go to the lower subdivision level again and let's do a quick save for this file. Then we need to spend more time on the finger on the hand itself. So let me see, let's mark this part out, use a separate poly group. First thing I'm noticing here is that I think I need to make this some of these fingers. This finger looks quite thin. So I'm just going to max out this part, blow the marks a bit more. Invert the marks. And I'm going to inflate this a bit more. Blow the marks again. And let's inflate that. So I go to deformation. Yeah, I think something like that should be fine. Yes, that feels a lot better now. The one thing I like to raise up is this shape. This shape around. I like to raise it up a bit more. So I'm going to be using the move brush from the side. But keep in mind, let me just show you guys an example in here, so you guys can be sure of what I'm doing before doing it. So from the shape around here, like so, if we should look at this from the top view, this reference already, this base match already has that shape in there, more like an arc kind of shape. It's not completely flat or straight. It's more or less like an arc. Like that's the kind of curve to it. Same way we have this kind of curve to it around here also. So keeping that in mind, so I just the only part I want to just raise is just raise this up a bit slightly, but keeping that arc shape in mind and not just going overboard in there. Right, something like that should be fine. Yeah, that should be fine. So we can now go into the hand a bit more and then make some more make some more corrections to it. Now these are mostly male hands, so we're going to keeping the shape in mind, but we're still going to give it still make it have that kind of feminine, maintain this the feminine look feeling to it, feminine overall shape to it. So let's look for a reference that we can use. Yeah, this one just looks so valuable. I think I would be sticking. I was sticking with this for now. I'm sticking with this for now. But we still need to create some fingers in there though, but that will be for probably for later. So let's get some of these shapes in there in there. So I would like to go one subdivision level higher in here with the dem standard brush. Create a shape like so. Accentuate this a bit more. Okay, let's get in some of those shapes in there. So I should go all the way here. Okay, the shape in here also. More like the shape looks more like so. I'm not kind of marking out regions on this, which I'm still going to work on a bit more later. So Just trying to mark those regions out. That's just way too low. That's way too low. Yeah, maybe not too low. Maybe that's actually in the right spot. We're still going to flesh them out a bit more. But for now, let's just create landmarks that we can follow as guide. So just majorly kind of creating where some creases should be. Okay, so from a distance, we should be having something a bit more defined from a distance. Okay, all right. So there's something else we need to kind of do at the other side. I think I'm going to be using the let's try the inflate brush first. So BIN. Yeah, I think inflate brush will do a better job. We also have to take down the intensity for this. So just basically trying to establish some kind of knuckles in there. Let's look for the back of this so we know so we kind of know where they are. So also from a distance, once we zoom out from a distance, we'll be able to see some of those bump in there, giving a bit more of an appealing result. So do the same in here. So should be a bit more like so. I think I went overboard in here. Maybe not. The only thing that we just need to change is go to the move brush and get this shape a bit higher. And I'll smooth this down some more on the side, just below. So we should be having something. I'm going to use the H polish brush. Just polish this out. No, too much. Smooth. Smooth that out. Clay builder brush. Let's see. And I'll smooth down the lower parts. Smooth that out. I'm not trying to make this sound look too blobby because most people still want to keep that slender shape to it that resonates more with a female character. Alright. Smooth this out. Smooth this out some more. Alright. Maybe a bit more flesh around here. Gently smooth that out. Just gently massage that down. Gently massage that down also. Okay. So this knuckles around here looks more like a triangular shape to it. So I'm going to be using let's try the standard brush instead. So holding Alt, I'll just dig in here like so, kind of maintaining that triangular shape to it. Just came down way too much. So more or less like maintaining that triangular shape to it. No, not that. Should be like 18 flesh around. Like you can look at this from the side, and I think I need to push this back in. These are out way too much. This came out way too much, so let's push this back in. Okay. The term standard brush. Just accentuate this a bit more. Get some depth around here. Something like so should be fine. Goes across all the way here also. Yeah, that's fine. Another shape we need to do in here is, let me see if I can find that. Should be one particular reference in here. Yes, something like this. You can see how the finger bones look inside of the hand. So you can see this thin or hollow, like kind of a bit of a depth around here on the edge. Bit of depth on the edge around here, same around here, same around there, same around here. So let me look for a bit. Let me see if I can find a better reference that will, yes, some depth around this edge. So for more slimmer character, those depths should be slightly visible, depending on how tight the skin is to the bone. So for this character, I would like to do that. So I'm going to be using I think the inflate brush should be a better one to use. So I'm going to be using the inflate brush for that. I'm also supposed to mark this out as individual. Let me mark them out as individual. Let me give them separate poly group. So let's hide that. Go to the next one. So you can control them as an individual piece. Yeah, I think I'll just leave this one the way it is. So let's invert the selection. So back to this piece. I think I did something weird around it. Let's smooth that out. So still on the inflate brush. The shape here seems a bit weird. Let me go back to the inflate brush. Holding Alt, just push a dent around here. Smooth that down. Uh, and bring that out a bit more. Smooth this down. Kind of push this down some more. Yeah, something like that should be fine. No, need a bit more flesh there, so let me smooth that down. Push this in. Okay, so we go to the blend material with a bit more reflection. You're going to see some of what we just did in there now. They're kind of subtle but still in there. Okay, alright, so I think I'm going to be sticking with this instead. So let's start with this. hmm, Let's start with this shape in here. Let's see how that looks from the side. So I'll just hold Alt and just dig in some depth around here. Something more or less like that should be fine. This should be around here, so let's get some more depth here. No, that's way too extreme. I think just one should be just fine, like so. Let's do this again. I think I undid that, so let's do that again. Why am I seeing everything? This is all we need. Okay, so let's go to the next one. You don't want to go too extreme on it though. Smooth that out. Smooth that out. I think I went overboard. Probably I'll just do this once. See, just don't like the light that's looking on the side. See, just once should be just fine. Smooth it out so it's not too intense. And that one looks too intense. So I'm trying to be a bit gentle. I don't want it to be too intense. So carefully doing this. Now smooth that down if it feels too intense. So I'm trying to make it quite subtle. Yeah, I think we have done that. Okay. I think that should be fine. Gentle but still getting something in there. Alright. There's still a lot of work to be done in here though, but I think we're getting there. We're slowly getting there. So let's create something for where the fingers should kind of sit in. So I'm going to go kind of increase the subdivision level a bit higher on this. Then I think this will be a good time to kind of save this out now. So on our subdivision level, we should be able to see some of the details we have added in there, picking out just a little. Not too much to ruin the entire cylinder shape of this character, but at least enough to be in there in a very subtle way. Okay, I'll go one subdivision level higher again. So let's block out fingers for this. So I'm going to use the damn standard brush with something a bit a low, smaller brush size to it. Let me look at our main character's finger. Let's see how long our fingers are. Since she has fingers are quite long, so let's get something longer in there. Yeah, I think that should be fine from a distance. That looks fine. So you want to be careful though, because you want to do this straight in a straight on fashion, but we already have an idea where that should be. Okay, so you want to be as gentle, as careful as you can, so you do that correctly. Okay. That doesn't look straight. That looks wonky. That should work. With the move brush, I'll push this down like so. Yes, think we've established that now. Just checking this out to be sure if that's in the right place. Alright. Okay, this should sit quite nicely in there. I think for the most part this should work. Establish most of the shape in there. So in next tutorial I'm just going to show you guys how we can extract fingernails for this in here. So I'll see you guys in next lesson. Bye for now.